if we don't put stops in, like happened yesterday, I mean, obviously, I think Cassia. Great thanks to Cassia, who yesterday put out that early morning detail, we were going to call it, about the PPT team, the plunge protection team. I think the last time we had a 800 tick rally in the Dow was November the 5th, the day of the election when Trump claimed victory all those years back. And basically, as we saw yesterday, from about 7:30, 8 o'clock, the Wall Street just had someone buying it most of the day. No figures out, no news out, but obviously it said a few people were fairly wise. They realised that whatever the fundamentals was, someone was out there to buy the market, and hell, did they buy it? What we were trading 33,000. We're now almost 1,000 ticks high on Wall Street, and we'll go from there. Right, have a quick look at the screen, and we'll go through the overnight news. Sorry if it blowy. Stick in there then these nostril things for your positive test or negative test are very unpleasant. What do we got out today? 9 o'clock, industrial sales comes out. We do have, as someone said yesterday, a host of ECB and US central bank members talking, and we'll go in the order. 10:15 ECB rain is also a dove. 11 o'clock the CBI trends. I'd say negative news from that. 3 o'clock Europe's consumer confidence. That's probably the figure of the day. We're expecting negative 3.4 from a previous 5.1. What have we got here? 6 o'clock, we had Lane speaking from the ECB, who was a dove. He spoke last week and kept to his tune. 6:30 with Schneibel, who's neutral. US wise, 3 o'clock, existing home sales. Meister at 3:30, he's also a hawk. And 4 o'clock daily. At 7 o'clock, with more news about Mr. Powell speaking from the Fed. He's going to testify in front of the Congress, but it's already been recorded and it has been somewhat leaked. We're not sure how much it has been leaked. He is talking basically how the effect of the COVID and the economy, almost similar to last week in front of the FOMC. But I think rumours are, will he be as hawkish as he was before, or will he blame the shortages or bottlenecks as he mentioned over the week? Powell's speech is the economy is growing but faces continued threats from COVID, bottlenecks, etc. He expects inflation pressures to lessen over time. He pledges support more QE from policies that the Fed installed at the beginning of COVID. That's what the Fed statement is. I'm waiting for Harry from Nice Court to come back later in the day. If there's any more news in that, is it worth doing a Zoom at 7 o'clock? Currently we are. We come back to that because it's fairly important. Biden has concerns over the bipartisan infrastructure plan. Fed Williams bond taper is still a way off. That came out late last night and obviously pushed the market higher from where it was all rapid. Brent crude is noted because it's above $75, the highest we've had since 2019. Those who listened to Christine Lagarde's second speech yesterday at 3:15 came out with slightly weird news that she still has room. Who's on loud here?
Was it me?
I should mute. Right, George, you mute. Christine Lagarde still has room to cut interest rates. It's fairly weird where they are currently minus 0.5%. She also did mention the bottlenecks, supply constraints, and underlying price pressures. 10-year yields flat, 1.492%. And I think the news over yesterday, the other opposite of the Wall Street rallying out of sight was Bitcoin sunk 11% to was it a 2-3 week low on a crackdown on the mining by China. Interesting there that if we go below, I think it's at $29,500, we do expect some lemmings on the street. Right, George is back. What are you looking at, George? DAX or FTSE?
Probably DAX.
I'll look at FTSE then. Again, what we learned from yesterday as such, when there is no news out, and again, we mentioned it earlier on, and there is a bar in the house, and I think the first hour in the DAX especially was fairly ruthless in that we rallied 40 ticks, then dropped 120 ticks, and then rallied 200 plus sticks. Again, a lot of people used the price action, and probably the price action was the best thing to use yesterday, in that as there was no news really one way or the other, but there was definitely a bar in the account from probably about 8:45 onwards. And therefore, if you don't have your stops in, you can ruin your day. And in theory, on Monday, so not only can you ruin your day, but obviously you can ruin your week when you get an 800 tick rally out of nothing. I remember I learnt my lesson from last November the 5th. That was my worst day of the year on the election night, when the Wall Street rallied over 1,000 points. Well, we got FTSE here. I've got a DAX up. I'm going to change it to. I'm going to keep the market profile on the DAX, so you can look at that and look at the FTSE. Obviously, the last 20 minutes on the FTSE, we've seen it come down 20 ticks as such. I've just seen any other news that comes out. Obviously, we've got the negotiations with the CPTPP nations that should be fairly bullish as such. The sausage wars come out, and Hancock has come out this morning on foreign holidays to Brits going abroad. And basically, I think if you do have a double vaccination as such, that will probably be your passport to go abroad. Right, going on to the 8 o'clock opening. Again, with hardly any news coming out till later in the day. And as we say before, the 3 o'clock consumer confidence, we could have had a fairly quiet opening. But I think we're going to start, especially I think in the DAX and more so on the front foot. So a quick look, see what indices are before we have a quick back at the FTSE. DAX up for 14 Wall Street. You could say we're almost opening fairly unchanged. And again, as you mentioned yesterday, we are coming into the summer markets, which do make the volumes drop and the liquidity drop, and indeed the open interest drops. So in the theory, we did say a few people yesterday, instead of applying on your DAX and your Wall Street, have a look at Euro stocks and S&P accordingly, which are less volatile. So still roughly move in the same direction. Right, here we go onto the opening. And let's see if we can find a scalp out there to start our morning positive. Also, if there is no scalp there, then we don't trade. I think a lot of people yesterday, although probably came out yesterday okay, the first two or three trades in the morning were losses as such. So therefore, in the summer months, we tend to cherry pick our trades more. We do say trading it's probably a maximum 6 times a day when there's no figures out. It's probably the best thing to do.
Neil, when it's quiet, I usually trade half the size.
Exactly. I mean, that's a great comment to make, Ray. And I did say to people when we get bigger ranges than that, and Ray, just seeing the FTSE just jump up 10 ticks there for no reason. But it's a very good comment from Ray. He's been around the block like me in that
DAX kicking down.
In that when you get the big ranges and the lighter volumes as such, the one thing we do, if the volume's half, we have to halve our volumes as well. So Chair, thanks for that, Ray. Very valid comment. Choppy in the FTSE. Obviously, price action, just people are buying at market and selling at market, and I don't think we've moved much in the 10 seconds of the opening. George, anything in the DAX?
25, 30 points down.
Down. So that was more clearer than the FTSE. We've seen the FTSE coming close to where we were roughly at 8 o'clock, 2-3 ticks. Any levels to look at?
No, not just yet, I don't think, is there?
Well, I'm looking at the DAX here where you've got down. I'm going to quick look at the FTSE now.
I suppose 53 was a previous market profile, wasn't it? But I wouldn't really pay attention to that yet.
Yeah, my next key level is over 100 points away. So
yeah.
FTSE, we're stuck basically in the POC and the value high. No interest here. Possibly a big 50 ticks below, which I don't think we'll get to. Yep, fairly
It's actually
quiet.
slow. Hmm.
Anything else, Matt, you want to add?
No, really, nothing really. Just take your profits, get out, and come back later.
I think it's, as Ray alluded to, if you think there is no trade, don't trade. I mean, it's so easy to be sucked in to think there's a buyer in the camp or a seller in the camp and just do those ball trades. All right then, nothing else there. Thanks for that, Ray. We'll come back with our Wall Street 225, and at the moment we're down to do the 650 Zoom for Powell tonight. Okay, speak to you later.
Have a good day.
Of course, dead.